For the Europa League trophy this season is over. Sevilla are through to the semi-finals and they fully deserve it after that 5-2 aggregate win over both of the legs. Let's go back to the start of the second half, because despite Manchester United's terrible first 45 minutes, at 1-0, bringing Rashford and Shaw on in the second half, and after a half-time team talk, we're still thinking Manchester United have the ability to turn this tie around. 76 seconds later, that's out the door.
Yep, we were so wrong with that, but you have to say from their corners that they were a threat every time. I think they had a free header every single time, and this is another one. Look, it's not actually a header, is it? It comes off his shoulder, really deceives the goalkeeper. It's one of them loopy ones. Can he move his feet a bit quicker away? And it's a tricky one, and you'd like to think he can do a little bit better, but again, a little bit of good fortune from him.
Would De Gea usually do better in that situation, Owen?
I'll be honest, I think he's unlucky. Obviously, it looks awkward the way it goes in because it's so slow, but he comes off Bade's shoulder. But I think that kind of clip summed up the game. You know, there's more than enough Manchester United players there. Just go attack the ball. Why is Bade the one that gets up for it? Comes off his shoulder, and I think David obviously misjudges it. But I think the way it spins off Bade's shoulder makes it really difficult. Once it's that high, I don't think David can get up there. And once it comes off the crossbar, it just went from bad to worse. And like you said, Jules, you had more than enough time in the second half to go and fix it, and then you concede an early goal on a set piece, and then the stadium got even louder and they got more stronger, and then it was over really from that moment.
It was an awkward one. If De Gea wasn't necessarily to blame for that one, he certainly was for the third goal, and that was definitely game over at this point.
Yes, it was, and actually we were up there watching. You see the ball go high, and I'm thinking, what's he going to do? I was nervous because the night he'd had anyway, he was making me nervous anyway. I think he was making the whole team nervous, and think, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to try and control it? Is he going to clear it? I think he's tried to control it, or I'm not too sure, but
all you got to do is just put your foot through that and smash it. Exactly. And the thing is, when you saw him come out, he 100% did not know what he was going to do. He changed his mind, obviously, a couple of times. He tries to just stop it dead underneath him, but that's impossible with that ball coming from that high.
He cannot let that ball bounce.
No,
he has to go and meet it on the volley or even head it. As soon as he lets that ball bounce, he's in big trouble.
How big a deal is this performance tonight from a David De Gea perspective? Because we're talking about what reinforcements need to be made in the summer. The reports are that he's very close to signing a new contract with Manchester United, but other goalkeepers have been linked with the club as well. Can a night like this be decisive for his future?
Well, look, first of all, David De Gea has been an incredible servant to this football club. He's been a brilliant goalkeeper, and he's a brilliant shot stopper. Been player of the year, how many times Scholes? But the thing is, what he's not great at is with his feet, and it showed today, and it showed on numerous occasions this season. And I think Ten Hag wants to play out. You know, he wants to get the ball down and play. First goal they conceded came from that. The third goal came from that. Huge moments. They need to fix, obviously. So it's a question of, does he fit Erik Ten Hag's philosophy? Based on today, you'd say it didn't look right. No, yeah. But
he is a brilliant
goalkeeper.
He's a brilliant goalkeeper. He's been a brilliant goalkeeper of this club. As I said, I think I said at half time, he's not a brilliant footballer. He will never be a brilliant footballer. And I think this manager wants a footballer. So maybe if he's asking David to do this, something he's not comfortable with, that might make him nervous straight away. Now look, it was a simple pass into Maguire. You can't really... I don't blame him so much for that, because probably that's what the manager wants him to do. The mistake then obviously comes from Maguire giving the ball away. But other things in the game, when he's kicking the ball out in the first minute, there's that cross that bounces just in front of him where you think, just grab hold of it, just settle everything down. It wasn't there tonight, and you expect that from an experienced goalkeeper.
Is there a chance that maybe some of the nervousness that we saw from David De Gea was down to the fact that he's not playing with the first choice two centre-halves?
Yeah, fair. You know, good question, Jules, because when Varane and Martinez and Casemiro have been in there and David De Gea, they look brilliant. You know, they look strong, and they didn't look strong today. You know, whether it was the fact they haven't played together that much, they didn't look comfortable. But again, this stadium played a part. Their pressing played a part. And it was just surprising that there were so many issues with the team today. I didn't see that coming.
I don't really think that makes a difference who the personnel were today. So I think even that's Varane in that position with the experience. He wouldn't want the ball there. That might be the other difference where you see Maguire asking for the ball, which you've got to give him credit for. It's confidence. I don't think any centre-half wants the ball there. I don't think Varane would be comfortable taking the ball there. So, look, you can say it's something to do with the 2 second-choice centre-backs coming in. Of course you can, but I really don't think that affected it.
OK, quickly, because they're off to Wembley on Sunday and it's a huge day. Semi-finals of the FA Cup against Brighton. After what you saw tonight, are you confident they can get to the final?
Not really, no, after tonight. But I think Owen mentioned it before the game. They do seem to bounce back very well from bad results, and they're going to have to, because we know what a good team Brighton are. They'll be disappointed tonight, but he looks quite upbeat there, Christian. I'm not sure why, but it's a great mentality to have. I think maybe the manager's instilled at them. Tomorrow is a different day, Sunday's a different game, but they're going to have to be a lot better than they've been today.
How are you looking at Sunday now?
Well, first of all, the players and the manager and the fans will be in pain. They'll be upset and disappointed that they didn't rise to the occasion. And then, obviously, tomorrow you'll start thinking about Sunday. You'll be thinking about Brighton, and based on that, you'd be worried. But this team has bounced back a lot of times this season, and they need to bounce back in big style. They need to step up and win that game and make this right.
Well, great night for Seville, an awful night for Manchester United. I mean, with 83 minutes on the clock at Old Trafford, they had it in their hands. They were 2 goals up. It all began to unravel then. And they basically picked up where they left off as soon as the ball was kicked in Seville. How on earth did it go so bad, Don?
I heard phrases, Resh, like the atmosphere got to them. They were not ready for the game. They didn't win fight balls, didn't win 50-50 balls in the middle of the park. I saw a different game. I thought Sevilla had the more technical players. I thought they outplayed Man United. I thought Rakitic, Suso when he came on, Lamela absolutely controlled the game. Man United made so many mistakes over the 2 legs, it was untrue. But I thought the best team in the second leg, for sure, tonight was Sevilla, and they deserved to go through. Maybe Man United disrespected them a little bit, a team that's won it 6 times. Incredible.
Yeah, because they're having a tough time in the league. But you talk about those mistakes, and there was a pretty glaring one early on with the En-Nesyri goal, and it was Harry Maguire at fault here. Chris, talk us through this.
Yeah, I cannot believe the way that Manchester United started the game with what was at stake in the atmosphere within the stadium. They were sloppy. De Gea had already kicked the ball out of play, and we heard Ten Hag talk about mistakes they made all evening, and this was a glaring one. There's no real danger, it's totally unnecessary. What Maguire, he doesn't scan what's behind him, he scans what's to his right-hand side. He could actually let the ball run through him and take the ball on the back foot, but we see from this angle far better. He pops the ball back. I mean, listen, there's the argument that De Gea could just pump the ball up the park, but Maguire's in control, is asking for the ball, but he could let that run through him and just play out on that right-hand side. He doesn't. He panics, and then, I mean, it's a clinical finish. But from Ten Hag's point of view and Manchester United's point of view, that was a really poor start. And do you know what? In the first half, they absolutely didn't recover. Go in at half-time, you think Manchester United are going to regroup. And guess what? They give away such a cheap goal at the start of the second half. Yeah,
we're going to take a look at that now as well. Loic Bade. And it was from a set piece as well. And De Gea, I mean, he surely could have done better for this one, Chris.
It's incredible goalkeeping. It's a really half-hearted attempt. It comes off Bade's shoulder, but he just doesn't really commit to it. And I don't understand it. It doesn't look like he's giving it absolutely everything. It's a really soft goal. I mean, he doesn't leap, he doesn't spring. There's no real urgency from him there. I mean, Ten Hag will be, he doesn't have much hair to tear out. But I mean, that's an absolute shocker.
It is.
To go 2 down. I expected them to, come out at the start of the second half and say, all right, we'd had a bad first half, regroup and go again. But in every department, they were found wanting.
What's an even bigger shocker is how you hit Erik Ten Hag where it hurts. With the hairline, I can't believe it. Right, let's look at 3-0 then, because this was En-Nesyri getting his 16th goal of the season. He absolutely punished David De Gea here, didn't he? And just the whole setup of United, they just did not look like a team who knew what they were doing on the pitch.
For me, this was the worst goal, I think, at the 2 legs, and I think it starts with Victor Lindelof. He's got easy red shirts to try and find. He takes the easy option. He's looked at Weghorst and he thinks, target man, 6'5". What I'll do is I'll give him a fight ball. It's not even good enough. Then, listen, Resh, when you go into your Rolodexes of techniques, the last thing you would go into is studs from David De Gea. You've got options. You've got instep. You've got laces with a volley. You can let the ball bounce. You can head it away. that would be the last technique I would go for. And you see it in slow motion there. Going with studs was never, ever an option. Once he's committed there, El Nassiri, who had a wonderful night, I was really surprised he didn't start in the first leg because he's a real player, a real handful, technically very good. But when Ten Hag and the analysis team look at the goals they've given away, there's some shocking goals. And Man United have got this in them. We've seen Liverpool wallop them 7. We've seen Aston Villa wallop them. We've seen Brentford wallop them. This sort of performance and result is still in this side. Ten Hag, I think, has done an amazing job on the majority and the whole. And I would hazard a guess he watched some of his players perform tonight and thought, you won't be wearing a red shirt next season. He was probably looking at some players thinking, I'm not so sure you're cut out to wear the red shirt at Man United. And that's what you have to do as a manager. He's identified what the problems are. You can't all do it in a quick fix in 1 or 2 transfer windows. He'll need a budget. It's clear to see what they need. They need a number 9. I'd be stunned if they didn't go in for Victor Osimhen at Napoli, one of the most creative and dynamic young players in world football in that position. Harry Kane, obviously. I mean, Harry Kane guarantees you 25 a season. He's prolific. He doesn't need adjusting to this league. He'd be the first one you'd go for if you want to build a side around it. Victor Osimhen's the next cab off the rank.
Well, they might go for Harry Kane's statue, mightn't they? Because we hear that that's being built at some point. Well, look, United, we have to remember that there were key players missing. Rafael Varane, no Martinez, no Bruno Fernandes suspended for this one as well.
But hang on, Reshma, they cannot use that as an excuse. This is
and to be fair to Eric Ten Hag, he didn't.
No, he didn't. But this is a Sevilla side who are, 13th in La Liga. They've struggled this season. So, all right, Varane was missing, Martinez. Fernandes, unfortunate with the yellow card at Old Trafford, but this should be a Manchester United team who performed far better. In every, the goals were big mistakes, but in every department, Manchester United were found wanting real opportunity for them to go on and win the Europa League. And now they've got to go on and have a strong end to the season. I mean, nightmare game at the weekend against Brighton.
Yeah, the biggest surprise when I looked at that starting 11 was Man United will have control of the midfield. They had no control. Yeah. But when you look at Sabitzer, Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, you see really 3 good technical players tonight. They got popped off the pitch, and I thought Sevilla were fantastic tonight. Deserved to go through, but Man United and the players and the staff and the fans will look back at that first leg thinking, for 45 we were cruising. For 83 minutes of the game, we were through. They should have been more clinical. They should have punished them, but they didn't. Yeah, well, look, Chris, you mentioned it. At the weekend, they played Brighton in the FA Cup. And this was really supposed to be a pivotal week for United. They had the opportunity to get to the semi-finals of the Europa League. They are in the semi-final of the FA Cup as well, with the potential to get to the final. That's on Sunday against a very difficult to beat Brighton side. And of course, next Thursday, they are away at Spurs, a top 4 rival. So we've seen it unravel in this first game. How do you think they're going to fare in the FA Cup and in the rest of the run-in?
Look, I think it's an enormous end to the season. I'm with Don in thinking that Ten Hag has made an impression and the team have improved, but I think they've still got the work cut out to finish in a Champions League spot at the weekend. Honestly, I think Brighton will be too good for them. That's a big test. That's a test when you play Brighton. Pep said they're the most difficult side to play in European football, Brighton. They are under De Zerbi because they can pop anyone off the pitch, and they've done that against Chelsea. They beat them 2-1, but it should have been 8 or 9. So Man United now have got to lick their wounds and they've got to recover.
Hello, fans of Manchester United. Welcome to the home of the Red Devils. United travel to the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium to take on Sevilla in the second leg of the Europa League quarter-final. The tie is delicately poised at 2-2 after United conceded 2 late own goals in the first leg at Old Trafford. And Eric Ten Hag has called on his team to get the better of their emotions for the reverse fixture. In his pre-match press conference, the Dutchman said, "The timing of emotions is important in big games. We must focus on the best game you can as a team and individual. While Sevilla are having a poor domestic season and languishing just 5 points clear of the relegation zone, they are Europa League specialists, having won the trophy a record 6 times. But Ten Hag said he is confident his side can get back on track on Thursday with victory in Spain to progress to the semi-finals, where they will either play Juventus or Sporting. According to the United Stand, Rashford will be named among the substitutes against Sevilla. The England international was tipped to return to the starting lineup, having missed the best part of 2 weeks with a groin injury. Ten Hag said on Wednesday Rashford has trained once with the team, but he had not yet decided whether he will feature in the match or not. The 25-year-old has been in the best form of his career this term, having claimed 28 goals, including 6 in the Europa League. Before kickoff, Sevilla boss José Luis Mendilibar said Rashford is one of the best players around, but his side won't change our mentality, whether he plays or not. Mendilibar said, "Well, Rashford is one of the best players nowadays. We have to think about ourselves, respecting the opposite team, but we don't have to think about particular players. If Rashford plays, it's because he's ready. If he's not, another top player will play there. Leave your opinion, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the bell to not miss any news."